Okay, let's dive in. Today we're unpacking a really powerful idea, a system for building, well, anything, your life, your business, a relationship that's designed not just to survive stress and uncertainty.
Right. It's designed to actually thrive on it, to get stronger because of it.
And the core mission here, I think, is to look at a framework from Dr. Alan Barnard. He took Nassim Taleb's idea of anti-fragility.
Which is a fantastic concept, but can be a bit, academic.
A little abstract, yeah. And he merged it with the very practical tools from Dr. Eli Goldratt's theory of constraints.
Exactly. It's the philosophy meets the how-to.
In Barnard's own story, his reason for going down this path is just one of the most compelling origin stories we've come across. In 2008, everything was perfect.
Oh, completely. He had the PhD, a successful company, the family, even a dream house being built. He had, achieved stability.
Or so he thought, because then 2009 hits.
And it wasn't just one thing going wrong. It was what he calls a perfect storm, a near-fatal health crisis. He lost his gallbladder.
And the medical bills just vaporized his savings.
Completely. And at the same time, his income drops. The dream house build just goes sideways with huge cost overruns.
And all that stress, of course, hits his marriage. They start talking about separation.
It was a total simultaneous collapse. And that's what led him to this huge insight.
Which was that it wasn't a moral failure. He didn't do anything wrong necessarily.
Oh, no, not at all. It was a design flaw. His whole life, his entire system was built for efficiency. And when things got volatile, that efficiency turned out to be incredibly fragile.
So the goal for you listening today is to understand how you move from a system that breaks under pressure to one that actually grows because of it.
We're going beyond just surviving stress. We're talking about how to profit from it.
All right, so let's start with the diagnosis. You can't fix a system if you don't know what kind of system you have.
Yeah.
How do the sources break down these stress responses?
It's a really elegant classification, I think. It's all about how a system responds to stressors, both the good kind and the bad kind.
Okay, let's start with the one to avoid, the fragile system.
Right. A fragile system is one that's harmed much more by negative shocks than it's helped by positive ones.
The classic porcelain cup.
Exactly. Or, in business, think of a company with just one supplier and absolutely no cash reserves. A 20% drop in demand doesn't cause a 20% drop in profit.
No, it could be 60, 70%. The downside is just brutal and disproportionate.
That's the key. Now, the next one is where most people aim to be, but it's a bit of a trap.
That's the robust system.
The metal cup. It's pretty indifferent to volatility. It doesn't break easily.
But it doesn't get better either.
Right. It doesn't improve from stress. A big utility company is a good example. Stable demand, regulated prices. They'll survive a downturn, sure, but they don't really gain much from a boom.
Okay, so that brings us to the target, the goal, anti-fragile.
Yes. An anti-fragile system is one that gains disproportionately from positive events while being protected from the downside of negative ones. It's like our muscles. You apply the right stress.
They break down a little and then they grow back stronger.
That's it. Uber is a classic business example. They thrive on the chaos of supply and demand, using things like dynamic pricing to benefit from that volatility.
But Dr. Barnard added a fourth category. And this one is so important because it's the one people mistake for anti-fragile.
The bipolar or the boom-bust system.
And what's the telltale sign of that?
Unlimited upside potential, but, and this is the crucial part, also unlimited downside risk.
So a high-growth startup.
A classic example. They scale aggressively, they look incredible during a boom, but they never built the real operational systems or financial buffers, so when the market turns,
They just evaporate. They collapse instantly.
they mistook fast growth for true strength.
And the really terrifying thing here for anyone listening is that when stresses are small, all these systems, robust, anti-fragile, even boom-bust, they can look almost the same.
It's a total illusion. The only way you can really know what kind of system you have, your business, your finances, your relationship, is to stress test it.
Or at least imagine exposing it to an extreme stress, positive or negative.
That's when the hidden fragility comes out.
And the math behind this is what really makes it sink in. We all think, a 20% loss means you need a 20% gain to recover.
But it's not linear. That 20% loss actually requires a 25% gain just to get back to where you started. And this is where it gets serious.
The 50% loss.
A 50% loss, which is what a lot of businesses saw during the pandemic shutdowns, requires a 100% gain to break even.
A 100% gain.
For most, that's terminal. It's just not going to happen. It proves that fragile systems are basically betting on a straight line world, but we live in a nonlinear world.
So you have to shift your focus from Just optimizing for the best case to surviving the worst case.
Absolutely. Which brings us to the journey. How do you actually make this transformation? And the sequence is everything. You cannot skip a step.
And trying to skip step one is exactly how you build that dangerous boom-bust system we just talked about.
It's the classic mistake. So step one is to build survival mechanisms. This is the move from fragile to robust.
Just stop the bleeding.
Totally. It's all about limiting the pain from negative shocks. We're talking practical things. Building up a cash buffer, having a strong support network, adding some redundancy in your operations so one supplier going down doesn't kill you.
Okay, so once you've built that floor, once you know a bad day won't wipe you out, then you can start looking for the upside. Step two?
Exactly. Step two is build growth mechanisms. Now you're moving from robust to anti-fragile. The focus shifts entirely to maximizing the gain from positive surprises.
So this is about things like scalable capacity. Like, could you actually handle a sudden 30% jump in demand?
Can you handle it, and do you have options? Optionality is key here. And building systems to learn from every single mistake so you don't make it twice.
And then there's a third step, to keep the whole thing from spinning out of control.
Right. Step three is avoid the boom-bust trap. You have to maintain anti-fragility without taking on that catastrophic risk that comes with unchecked growth. This means you need feedback loops, clear boundaries.
And the sources mentioned something called growth governors.
Yeah, a growth governor.
Is that basically like putting the brakes on your own success?
In a way, yes. It's a self-imposed limit. It's the system saying, I can handle this much growth, but I will not go beyond X until Y safety measure is in place. It's about disciplined, sustainable growth.
That structure is so clear, and it leads us right into the how, the tools. And this is where Dr. Goldratt's theory of constraints comes in, the power of focus.
Because if you try to fix 10 things at once, you get a little bit of improvement everywhere, but no breakthrough.
But if you find the one single thing holding everything back, the constraint,
and you fix only that one thing, you can get a massive improvement across the entire system. It's all about leverage.
and a constraint is really just a resource you don't have enough of to reach your goal.
That's the simple truth. It always boils down to one of 5 universal resources: market demand, internal capacity, external supply, cash.
Or the one that's usually the real culprit.
Yeah.
Management attention.
Almost always. So if you're working on improving something that isn't the constraint, you're fundamentally wasting your time.
So to do this systematically, there's this process. The one thing focusing cycle starts with your goal, then you identify that single constraint.
And then you hit step 3, define the one problem. And this is where the idea of a fractal 80-point-20 comes in.
Okay, that sounds technical. What does fractal 80-point-20 actually mean?
It just means you apply the 80-point-20 rule over and over again. So, 80% of your pain is coming from 20% of your problems.
Right.
Well, you take that 20% of problems and you apply the rule again to that smaller group. And you keep drilling down until you find the single root cause that's responsible for more than half of your entire problem.
That's your one thing to fix.
That's your one thing. And that focus is what lets you get to real innovation.
Right, because the goal isn't just to make a painful trade-off, like we can have option A or option B.
No, that's just compromise. Innovation is finding a solution that gives you the best of A and the best of B without the downsides of either. That's the breakthrough.
And the tool for that is called the ProConCloud method. Why did we need a tool for this? Isn't something like E plus RRO, event plus response equals outcome, enough?
E plus RO is great for personal accountability, but real-world problems are messy. They're not about one response. They're about a conflict between 2 good but mutually exclusive options.
You're stuck.
You're stuck. Option A meets one critical need but puts another one at risk. Option B does the exact opposite. So you just oscillate or you make a painful compromise.
So the ProConCloud forces you to just write that dilemma down, to make it explicit.
Yes, you define the problem and then you articulate the conflict, the needs behind option A versus option B. Then step 3 is the creative part, develop win-win innovation.
So you're looking for a third way.
You're looking for an A++ A, which is option A enhanced to also satisfy B's needs, or a B++ A, or sometimes a completely different change that just makes the original conflict irrelevant.
Okay, so an example might be, do we invest in more capacity, which is option A, but risk our cash flow?
Or do we maintain low debt, option B, but risk losing customers to competitors who can deliver faster?
And the innovation, the win-win, might be finding a partner or a new financing deal that lets you expand capacity without taking on all that risky debt.
Exactly. You eliminate the trade-off. But then comes step 4, which is brilliant and so often skipped.
Which is,
You gather yes but's feedback. You actually go looking for resistance.
you want people to poke holes in it.
You want them to, because every yes, but this won't work because is a hidden flaw, and you turn that resistance into collaboration by asking, okay, how could we solve that? Give me a yes and.
So you make the solution stronger with the team's own knowledge.
It builds incredible buy-in.
Yeah.
And then, only then, do you move to the final step.
Which has to be testing it.
Of course, test with a minimum viable experiment. A small, safe-to-fail test. You never bet the farm on an untested idea. Anti-fragility is about taking lots of small, smart risks.
Okay, let's connect all this to right now. How does something like AI fit into this framework? The sources call it the anti-fragility amplifier.
It really is. I mean, think about things like digital twins. These perfect virtual models of your entire business or generative AI, they can supercharge this entire process.
How, specifically?
Well, remember those human constraints: attention, trust, motivation. AI helps with all of them. It can sift through mountains of data to point our attention directly at the real constraint.
And a digital twin could run hundreds of those minimum viable experiments in a simulation.
In minutes. Building trust in a solution before you spend a dime in the real world. Generative AI can even help teams articulate their conflicts in the ProConCloud more clearly. It speeds up the human part.
So AI isn't doing the thinking. It's doing the heavy lifting and the analysis.
That's the key distinction, and it comes with a huge warning. You have to avoid AI-induced fragility.
What does that mean?
It means using AI as an amplifier, not a crutch. If you let the AI become a black box that just spits out answers and you don't know why, you've given up your own judgment. You've reduced your options.
And if the AI over-optimizes your system for today's stable world?
It makes you incredibly brittle. When a shock you didn't predict finally arrives, you have to maintain that human oversight, that optionality.
Which brings us all back to us, to the individual. After all the frameworks in the tech, how do you make a decision, a truly anti-fragile one, in your own life?
You use the emotional decision-making tool. For any big decision, a career change, a major investment, you consider the best versus worst case emotional impact.
So not the financial outcome, but how you would feel.
Exactly. We're actually pretty good at predicting our feelings. So if the best case scenario for a decision excites you, but the worst case scenario would emotionally devastate you, that's a fragile choice.
There's too much downside risk.
The truly anti-fragile opportunity is one where the upside genuinely excites you, you want to go for it, but the downside, even if it happens,
You could live with it. It wouldn't destroy you.
wouldn't destroy you. If you can honestly say you could handle the worst possible emotional outcome, then you've found a decision that is inherently anti-fragile.
That is the ultimate test, isn't it? It all comes back to that. You build these systems so that when the stress inevitably comes, you're not just ready to survive, you're ready to get stronger.
That's the choice you have to make. When the pressure hits, will you break? Will you just resist? Or will you actually grow? And that transformation, it starts with one small, focused, anti-fragile action today. Know that the first step to maximizing your upside is always, always minimizing your catastrophic downside.